Am I the a-hole for kicking out my pregnant ex? Me 29 male, ex 27 female, we have been together for over 6.5 years, and recently found out she's 6 months pregnant. Only thing is, she got pregnant when I was out of town for work. So the time she got pregnant, I was not in the same country, let alone city, and she has admitted to a one-night stand with some random person at a friend's house party. She does not know this person and wants me to stick with her and help her raise the child. It has said she would put me on a birth certificate. I flat out said that it's not going to happen, and if I would take her to court, I have screenshots of text her admitting it's not mine, and I would not be paying a penny for her or her child. I own my house and everything is in my name, and I used to pay for her expenses, food and so on. All that has been cut off. She has a job, but it pays a fraction of what I get paid. I told her she has made her bed, and now she can sleep in it, and to essentially get the heck out of my house, and not bother me and go find this person she had a one-night stand with. So I kicked her out, and now her parents are calling me an a-hole for kicking a pregnant woman out. And they can't financially support her or the child if she tries to move back with them or the space for them. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out and potentially making her homeless? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole for breaking up with her after cheating. How long were you out of town though that you can 100% say the child isn't yours? I would wait until the child arrives, do a DNA test, then proceed accordingly. Almost a month. She has admitted it's not mine. This was done after ultrasound. Rough idea was when it was bang in the middle of the time I was not in the country. Not stay home. In addition to all the other advice you've been given, please see your doctor about STD tests. You have no idea how many times she may have cheated, and without using protection, she put you at risk also. I also vote for you to go see a lawyer in your area now, so you can be sure you are doing everything you should legally. Yes, this. Don't be stingy on lawyers at a time like this. I wish I could say that we live in just world, but we don't. So you're better off spending a bit on a lawyer now than get hooked for at least 18 years on a child that ain't yours. Not stay home. As a person who had 2 very high-risk pregnancies with tons of health issues, I'd like to say pregnant women are not these little snowflakes that melts immediately when they face a hardship. She cheated on you. You're not responsible for her or her kid if you don't want to, and she can deal with her poor choices. But you are not charity. If her parents are that concerned, they can take her in and look after her, and meanwhile ask her why she is a cheater. She has this backwards actually. If she needs money, she needs to track the actual father down via mutual acquaintances from said party and file for paternity. The courts will say it's his problem. If he can't afford to support a child as well as OP can, she should have thought of that before cheating mid-cycle without protection or plan B. Not stay home. OP shouldn't let her put him on anything official as the father either. I've read threads on here where that's like a lifetime commitment to support the kid, and legally hard to charge, if even possible. It is, and it's ridiculous. Thank God they're not married. In Michigan, she could name him on the birth certificate, and if she gets any state aid, the state will initiate a case against him as the presumed dad. Obviously, it's all state dependent, but he needs to be ready to contest this since in some states, if you don't do it by a certain date, you're stuck being dad until the kid is 18. Not stay home. Why should any of this be on you? Move on and find someone else trustworthy. Her parents obviously care about her and are defending her, so she has someone to turn to. She shouldn't be homeless or friendless while they are on her side. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sell my horse? Me 24 female and my boyfriend 26 have been dating for around 9 months. I've been riding horses since around 4 years old when I started taking lessons. When I was then, I started helping out this girl at the stable with her horse lady. At 12, she told me she had to sell her due to time/interest. It asked if me and my parents wanted to buy Lady. Luckily for me, my parents were able to buy her, and she's been mine ever since. She's my bestest friend and I love her a lot. When I started to date my boyfriend, I was very honest with the fact that my horse takes a lot of time, and he was fine with this. One single, I could spend like 3 to 4 hours a day in the stable, but as we started dating, I cut this down to about 3 hours every other day, as this is roughly how long it takes for me to do all the cleaning, /preparing food /riding. Also, most of my friends are at the stable, which obviously means this is also social for me. The other days, I would not ride and try to spend less time talking, which would make it about an hour. After about 6 months, he told me I spent too much time at the stable and I should prioritize my relationship more. And somehow his family got involved, and saying it was strange to prioritize the way I did. I wasn't comfortable with this, but I am a bit of a pushover, so I agreed. At first, this meant cutting down the time at the stable, but it has evolved into cutting down riding days. Now I ride about 2 days a week and the rest I'm simply there to do the basics. All of this as quickly as I can, because otherwise, I know he'll be annoyed and pissed off for days and give me the silent treatment. I know my horse isn't really suffering from not being ridden as often as before, but I still feel very guilty that I'm always rushing around her. Then last night, he told me it was time to sell Lady. I laughed at him and asked if he was serious. He was. I told him no, and he said I needed to start prioritizing this relationship more. And I said I've done nothing but prioritize this relationship. We argued about it, and he apparently thinks I can just put her down as she's old anyways. I was furious at this. I told him that was absolutely not happening, and I would never sell her. He said that any reasonable person would sell or put down their horse in favor of their boyfriend. And the only reason I wouldn't is because I only hang out with other insane horse people. So I come to you, reasonable people of Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Totally not the a-hole. Your boyfriend sounds controlling AF. You worked hard to compromise with him, but he keeps moving the line until he eventually gets everything he wants, and you have sacrificed everything important to you. A lot of abusive partners start the cycle by trying to isolate their partner. You have a whole support network at the barn, and he wants you to give all that up in addition to your horse who is like a member of your family to you. This is super messed up, and a huge red flag. I know it really hurts, but be grateful he's shown you who he really is, and how he doesn't prioritize or frankly care about your feelings and well-being. I'd run, not walk away from this guy. He sees something you love and wants to take it away from you. That should be enough right there to warrant a red flag, but I really love this comment about the support system. Keep them around you and leave him. So many red flags. Not stay home. Slowly escalating demands that you give up your hobbies and things you care about is a classic abuse tactic. Making you feel guilty about the way you spend your time, especially when you've always spent your time that way, is a classic abuse tactic. Trying to force you to get rid of people or animals you care about is a classic abuse tactic. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but best to get out while that's the only thing broken. These tactics are meant to break your spirit, your will, your confidence, and your self-worth. Those are all far too valuable to allow him to break them. Plus, most of her friends are at the stable. She's already cut down her socialization time with her other friends in order to spend more time with him, and now he wants to get rid of any reason for her to go to the stable at all. That's classic isolation. Not stay whole, keep your horse. Your friends probably miss riding with you. Time for your boyfriend to compromise or get out. What the ever-loving heck is this? He wants to kill your horse. Fire the man into the goddamn sun, and wonder how he managed to date IRL Gaston. Not stay home. Edit. So I never expected this to get as much attention as it did. I'm very overwhelmed and thankful for all your kind comments and messages. I'm currently sitting with Lady in her stable, crying my eyes out because this has been such a wake-up call for me. My boyfriend left to visit his family and friends at his old town earlier today before I posted. So for everyone worried, all is well for now and I will handle this ASAP. First, I need to go home and sleep. Thank you all for being wonderful. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for demanding my boyfriend pay me for a replacement phone after he threw out my old one? Hello, I, female 32, met my boyfriend, male 37, about 9 months ago. He has 2 kids, 4 and 6 both boys, from his previous relationship. His kids are adorable, and I love spending time with them. However, we do not live together yet. So last week, he had a work trip and asked if he could bring the kids to stay with me, and I approved with zero hesitation. The boys came over and we took the entire day doing fun outdoor activities. We got home in the evening and I decided to post one video I took of the kids playing with the snow. I posted it and got a number of likes. I tagged my boyfriend as a surprise to let him know how much fun the kids had. But when he got back, he was furious with me for posting a video of the kids without permission. He pitched a fit and went on about how I overstepped, invaded his and the kids' privacy, and betrayed the sense of security he thought I had for the kids. I was flabbergasted by his reaction. I said, "What's the big deal?" And he literally started shouting at me and berating me, insinuating I should never have done that. He demanded I delete the video, wipe it along with any other videos and pictures I took of his kids off my phone completely. I was going to do what he asked, but I found that he took my phone and threw it away. He only gave my SIM card. I lost it, asking why he did it. And he said that I created this situation and made him do this. I called him unbelievable and demanded to pay me for a replacement phone as soon as possible, but he said he wasn't responsible for my mistakes. I argued that he massively overreacted, and he should have let me know he didn't want the kids to be on cam. And he just kept going on about how I violated his and his kids' trust and privacy, and how it's never an overreaction when he's trying to keep their privacy intact. I kept demanding for a new phone, and he's refusing. So am I the a-hole? I do feel like I should have spoken to him, but I think I have the right to not want my phone thrown out over a small mistake. Now for the comments. And so begins the free childcare. Not the a-hole. Okay, sure. If he doesn't want his kids' images on social media, he could have told you. But throwing away someone else's property is theft. This is a big red flag for how he will react in most situations he doesn't like. Yes, he should replace your phone, but I very much doubt he will. I'd also cut ties with him because you don't need to be treated like that. And did his ex even know you had kids alone with you? Can we talk about the huge blazing red flag of "you made me do this to you"? Because damn, that's an awful big red flag. Anybody who says you made them throw out your stuff or hit you or belittle you or whatever horrible behavior they're showing, that's not a person to keep in your life. That's a person who can't take responsibility and will blame you for what they do to you. Hope he's not the a-hole and should run from this man. Whoa, throw that whole man away. While he had a right to ask you to take down videos of his kids from social media, he had zero right to throw away your personal property. Not stay home. OP, his reaction is just plain scary to me. I totally understand getting upset about his kids being on social media. You never post kids' pictures without parents' permission. The way he overreacted to it throws up red flags and question marks. The simple adult answer is to just delete the pictures. He went to the controlling extreme of becoming unhinged with your phone. Either he is a serious control freak, there is something about this relationship with the kids you don't know, or something way more going on than obvious in this post. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for continuing to accept extra help from my ex and his family, even though his fiancée doesn't like it? I have a 4-year-old daughter with my ex. I would say we have a pretty great co-parenting relationship, and he and his family have helped me more than I would have expected them to. He is engaged now, and his fiancée, Laura, is the biggest fan of mine. I know she's told him she doesn't like how much he helps me, and she expects him to stop after they get married. I assume he refused, because she decided to come speak to me woman to woman. The main things she wants me to stop are 1. Stop accepting so much money from him even if he insists. 2. Move out from the apartment my daughter and I live in for free and find my own place. 3. Stop going on family vacations with him. 4. Stop having family dinners with him. 5. Stop attending events his family hosts. I told her no. She got upset and told me I should understand her perspective and why this wasn't fair for her. That I didn't need half of the things I accepted from him, and I was just milking him like a cash cow because I had his daughter. She said that since they were a family now, I should realize the dynamic between us has to change, and no partner would be okay with how things are now. I told her no again and asked her to leave. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's being incredibly insecure and petty. He's taking care of his child. You will both always be there, so she needs to get over it. Move out of your apartment? No. I hope she treats your daughter right when you're not around. The only part I could agree with cutting out would be you going on family vacations with him. Unless it's some big sort of family thing, in which case still, who cares? She's threatened by you. I even think the family vacations are nice if they are for their daughter. I think it is really healthy to show their kid that family doesn't just mean being married, that our parents can recognize that the three of them are still a family even if mom and dad are no longer romantically involved. If his fiancée has issues with her and her daughter's existence, then she should not be marrying a divorcee with a kid. Opie should stand her ground and do what is best for her daughter. I agree with the knowledge still being a family even though there is no romance anymore. But I feel like now that dad is engaged, the fiancée should also join these family holidays, because she is about to be a stepmom and part of the family too. Not today home. Unfortunately for Laura, his child and you come with him. I don't think you need to stop having a positive co-parenting relationship because she feels threatened. You'll always be in her life if she decides to go through with a marriage. I would actually have a talk with your ex and let him know what she said. There needs to be boundaries in place with her as she's overstepping, and you should make it clear that she's starting things and you don't appreciate it. If she has a problem, she can speak to her fiancé. I feel like she has already addressed it with him and he's not changing how you guys function, so she thought she could come to you to get you to back off. It's interesting that she made this approach by herself. I wonder what, if anything, fiancé has said to the father about this. I'm betting she didn't tell him she would be approaching the ex. I'm going to go against the grain here. You're the a-hole. I think it's fully reasonable that she's uncomfortable with us. It sounds like he's completely supporting you financially, paying for all your living expenses and then some. He should be paying child support, but you should otherwise support yourself as an adult. Family vacations and events are a little weird. You're acting like you're still a couple. Of course his fiancé is uncomfortable with that. This is how it felt. I'd ask Opie if he's completely supporting her. Because there's a huge difference when someone is supporting their child and when someone is supporting the child and the mother. Am I the a-hole for not helping a lady at the doctor's office when she was having a hard time with her kids? Because of some arbitrary rule I don't understand, I have to go and see my therapist every month to have my antidepressant refilled. Don't know why this doctor requires me to do that. My last doctor was allowed to write a 3-month script, and I could call him if I needed help with anything. This doctor makes me come in for a whole damn therapy appointment, something I can't afford, but I have to have my meds. I'm searching for a new doctor. Anyway, rant over, sorry. I was at the doctor waiting for my appointment. There was a woman in the waiting room, the only other person. She was probably the doctor's partner's patient. I don't know, don't care. She had 2 kids with her. One looked like it was 5 or 6. The other one was small and still in a stroller, so 2 or 3, I guess? The bigger kid was playing on an iPad and I guess the battery died or his game stopped working. Something happened and the kid started throwing a fit, screaming and flinging his arms around. I was using my own device with headphone, but I had them turned down so I could hear when the receptionist called my name for me to go back, and I could hear the whole tantrum. Couple minutes into the kid throwing a fit, the little one started throwing one too. Not sure why. I guess the older screaming made it angry? I don't know kids. I don't understand why they do things. Don't like them, don't want them, never held a baby, never want to. I tried to ignore them, but they were loud as hell. I could hear the older screaming, "She has an iPad, she has an iPad," over and over again, pointing at me. The mom gets my attention and asks me if the kid can watch what I'm watching, or maybe he can play a game, and she can give me like $1 for every 5 minutes or something. I declined. Number 1, I don't let anyone touch my devices. And number 2, I don't believe in rewarding bad behavior. The kid was screaming and acting like a fool. You don't give a kid a cookie when he throws his dinner on the wall. He'll just keep doing it. The mom starts begging me, saying that she can't calm the little one down if the older one is screaming. And could I just help her out? I declined again, because the whole kid thing, I just can't with kids. They set me off. Frankly, kids give me anxiety. They always seem sticky and dirty and loud. The mom called me some choice names and ended up taking the kids outside. I got called back to my appointment like 5 minutes later and didn't see them when I got back out. The receptionist told me the lady had to leave because she couldn't get them to calm down. And the way she told me this kind of made me feel like she was trying to make me feel bad about it. It isn't my job to babysit someone else's kids in public. You should plan for this stuff when you take kids places, in my opinion. I paid my bill and went home. Was I an a-hole because I wouldn't hang out with this kid? Now for the top comments. Hello, stranger. Can my child use your expensive technology? Not a day-haul. And you already know Mommy Dearest wouldn't pay for repairs when the kid whipped it into the wall and shattered it. He didn't mean to. As if we only get the consequences we intend. Not day-haul. She's totally entitled to assume you'd hand over an expensive iPad, or any device for that matter, over to a screaming kid. On top of that, if it was accidentally dropped or had juice spilled and it was ruined, I seriously doubt she'd be paying to repair/replace it. She'd probably cite some lame excuse of kids being kids. You should have watched it better/know better. On top of that all, we are still in a worldwide pandemic. She doesn't know you, where you've been, who you've associated with, just as you know nothing about them. It would be pretty sucky to end up sick because some booger kid and his entitled mom demanded use of your device. I'd be surprised if the waiting room didn't have outlets. Did she forgot a charger? Asking if OP had a charger they could borrow would be far more reasonable. And still acceptable to refuse since one might not get it back. Not day-haul. I feel bad for the lady, but yeah, you can't be expected to trust a random out-of-control screaming kid with your iPad. While your inner dialogue through the ordeal was not the kindest, a little empathy will serve you well in life. I do agree that you don't give in to a screaming kid. That just empowers the kid to do it more, do it louder, and they get what they want. Clearly, this mom had not set a lot of boundaries for the kid to escalate the situation so bad. So while she's not the a-hole entirely, she sure had made some lazy parenting choices to put her in this situation. The first instinct should not have been to ask a stranger to use the iPad. Her first instinct should be to have the kid occupy themselves, and if the tantrum started, apply appropriate redirection and discipline. Yeah, I know I need to work on my empathy. I'm having a hard time right now loving myself, let alone strangers. The isolation hasn't been good for me. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for walking out on dinner when friends ask me to leave? My group of friends made a reservation for dinner at a popular restaurant for 6 people. But when we got to the restaurant, one of my friends, let's call her Person A, brought along her boyfriend without advance notice to any of us, hence making the total number of people 7. We all know her boyfriend well and are pretty chill with him, so we thought to ask the restaurant if 7 guests is possible. Unfortunately, the restaurant was unable to accommodate 7 people as our reservation was stated for 6 people. This was also understandable as the restaurant was a popular one and packed during that night, so fair enough. At this point, Person A, who is kind of the leader of our friend group, turns to me and says, "Okay, I think you should leave so that we'll have 6 people." I was flabbergasted and shocked when I heard that. My other friends kept silent, and no one really spoke, so there was this awkward silence. I almost wanted to propose that perhaps we could have gone to a different restaurant down the street instead that could accommodate 7 people, for example. But I felt a surge of emotions and called her a heartless witch. My friends all looked at me in horror, and Person A clearly looked shocked as well. The next day, my friend, let's call her Person B, texted me and said that I overreacted and was an a-hole for calling Person A witch in public. I was confused by this as I thought that I wasn't a-hole in this situation. But maybe I was. I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Someone in the comments raised a valid point. The rest of my friends were couples, aka 3 couples in the group, and I'm the only single person in the group. Person A's boyfriend said he couldn't make it when we made a reservation long ago, but he suddenly showed up at the restaurant last minute. Maybe me being the only single person in the group made me instantly the odd one out. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You need new friends. Good friends don't ask you to leave so that an unexpected and unannounced +1 can take your place at the table. I know, right? If these were my ex-friends, they would be just that. Ex-friends. Shocking that your most supportive people who aren't your family just turned on you like that. They're not your friends, honey. I can't believe someone would do that. It really disgusts me. Not the a-hole. I feel like the 7th person should bow out in this situation. 100%. I've been in this exact situation with my ex and her friends. Told everyone it was no trouble. Took myself to the pizza bar down the street for a solo guy date and met up with a group after dinner. It was actually pretty nice. These are some cold-blooded women to just stand there in silence after a random attack like that. Pretending OP's completely understandable reaction And accurate characterization was somehow worse, just confirms it. Not the a-hole. Your language was harsh but honest. I think I would have done the same. If anyone were to leave, it should have been the boyfriend who was not invited. Or you could have just all gone to a different restaurant. Ejecting you from the party was a straight mean girl move. And they did it so fast too. Update. This thread is now locked, and I wanted to give some sense of closure and update. Thank you to all for your insights and comments. I shared this thread with my friends, and they told me off and scolded me for actually sharing this in a public community. However, one of the couples, who I'm closest to in the group, reached out privately to me over text and told me that they felt bad and apologized for not speaking up. But that's it, I've had enough and will walk away. To emulate the example of Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, I would say, okay, you want to ask me to leave? Okay, fine, no problem. That's all I needed. I took it personal from then on. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for feeling this way? I wasn't invited to one of my best friend's engagement party. Me, Bob, and Rocky have been best friends since we were kids. We talk almost every day and have had a group chat that's just the three of us for almost a decade. Bob recently announced he was getting married, and I felt excited to have a close friend that's getting hitched. Yesterday was Bob's engagement party, and I wasn't invited. My sister openly asked why I wasn't there, and the only thing I could come up with was, I don't know. The venue was Rocky's house, a place I have been to thousands of times. Every single one of our mutual friends was there, and it was clear they were having a blast from all the story posts on social media. I definitely felt upset. After all, these are two of my best friends, and clearly they had vital roles in this event. I said, wow, clearly me and Bob aren't friends, and left our chat. Sometime after the party was over, they added me back and Rocky said, X person made the invite list. Bob said he didn't want to argue and claimed he wasn't really in charge of this party either. I can understand those excuses for a generic party, but when it's one of your best friends getting engaged? I felt like those were the two worst possible things they could have said to me when one of them was hosting the function at his house, and the other was the literal star of the show. I said, it's never you guys, and left our chat again. This isn't the first time something like this has happened, but it's definitely the worst time. I've raised the same concern in the past as far as how they'll conveniently forget me whenever they do anything fun, but I genuinely feel different towards them after yesterday. Bob's engagement was a big event in my eyes, and all of his close friends were there except me. I feel like a ghost. I'm not sure if I have the right to be upset or if I'm overreacting. Not a hole. What the hell kind of friends are those? Did they really expect you to believe that whoever made a guest list would be mad if they invite one of their best friends? I'm sorry, but I feel like you need new friends. The whole situation sucks. What the hell kind of friends are those? In case this is a real story, in my opinion, this happens when the friendship is not mutual. Opie thinks they are best friends, but his friend may only see him as acquaintances. This is the usual case. But in this case, it's a bit much that they're in an active group chat with 3 people for decades. Most group chats fall apart after a few weeks if people aren't active. So I can understand why Opie thought they were all besties. But yes, these are not his friends. I have an active daily group chat, 4 people, which included someone I thought was a good friend, who decided to just tell me she actually didn't like me for reasons she wouldn't explain. Some people are just shitty. It hurts, and it will take time to feel better. But Opie's better off spending his time with people who aren't awful to him. Not an a-hole. You're not overreacting. They left you out, either on purpose or by accident, and neither excuse their behavior. Even if it was unintentional, that just shows they didn't care enough to think, is Opie invited? These people are not your friends. Not an a-hole. So then who was in charge of the party? And why did Bob not step in? If you're such a best friend to these people, why did no one notice who was clearly missing? These people are a-holes. Not for not wanting to be your friend, but for stringing you along and pretending like they are. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for defying my mother-in-law? My 7-year-old son just developed an allergic reaction yesterday after dinner because his cousin accidentally fed him some peanuts, which is something he's highly allergic to. He developed red rashes all over his body, and he told us he felt itchy. I decided to make the move to drive him to the nearest hospital, and it was at that moment I was stopped by my mother-in-law. She told me that in the midst of this pandemic, it is unnecessary to pay a visit to the doctor, and that it's putting us at risk of getting the COVID-19 virus. She said he can have some over-the-counter medication, sleep it off, and it'll be fine tomorrow. She backed her statement up with how it has happened before. At that time, we weren't aware of his peanut allergy. He slept it off and he was fine the next day. Now, I've heard of stories how fatal an allergic reaction can turn out, so obviously I wasn't going to put my son's life at stake just because my mother-in-law thinks she's right. I insisted on bringing my son to the hospital, and I did. At the hospital, my husband started sending me a chain of messages asking me why I humiliated his mother by not listening to her, that she sounded logical, and I was just being overly paranoid over an allergic reaction. Apparently, my mother-in-law is now victimizing herself, calling her sisters, crying and complaining about how I went against her wishes. My husband, who is working night shift, even ended his work earlier just to go back home to appease his mother for my supposed defiance. He didn't even ask about our child, or drop by at the hospital despite knowing we were there. The reason why I'm starting to doubt my stance is because at the hospital, the pediatrician assured me that it's just a common allergic reaction, that it wasn't anything endangering. Things are looking bad on me as a result. As if I was purposefully going against my mother-in-law, because now she was right about it. Am I the a-hole here? Should I have listened to her? Now everyone's turning their backs against me. The same applies to my husband. An anecdote. 1 year as a kid, I was stung by a cow ant, type of ground wasp, on the bottom of my foot. Foot swelled up, hurt, I got better. Second year, stung again on my foot by same type of wasp. Leg swelled to my knee, hurt like hell, I got better. Third time it happened, again, stung on the bottom of my foot, my leg very quickly swelled up to my bum, and my mom took me to urgent care. I was told next time to go directly to the hospital. Unsure why I wasn't prescribed an EpiPen, lol. Maybe it was just unavailable for my poor family and our lack of insurance. That next time, anaphylactic reaction may happen, and that I should avoid wasps of any kind now. At the point, allergies can accelerate even with minimal exposure to the allergen, in a scary way. Your mother-in-law knowing this has happened before without telling you makes me very concerned for the next time it will happen. She's not concerned about the child's reaction, but her own saving of face. Not at a-hole, mother-in-law needs to get a firm grip. Maybe a pair of shoes would have been useful to you during your yearly ritual of stomping on cow ants. 100% not at a-hole. Allergic reactions, especially when they develop into full-blown anaphylaxis, can lead to a very serious situation very quickly. Your mother-in-law sounds like a classic abusive narcissist, so good on you for not reinforcing her behavior. I'd have a sit down with your husband as well, and talk about why he didn't even ask about how his son was. I'm assuming you told him and that he didn't just hear it from your mother-in-law who may have spun the story. If you told him how bad it was, then you do need a serious chat about his priorities. Your grandkid dying is less of a problem than being ignored, of course. Imagine the horror of having a daughter-in-law that puts the health of a child over your feelings. Pfft, the lady should read up on allergies. Not at a-hole. Go to an allergy doctor and have your kid officially evaluated. Maybe this time an EpiPen would be good to have handy too. Your whole family is a little too blasé about your kid. Imagine the surprised picture face on your mother-in-law's face if your kid's throat swelled up and your kid suffocated. And peanuts? They should be banned from the house, in any form, for the foreseeable forever. The whole "this happened before, but we didn't tell you, it's no big deal" thing makes the fact the child has been fed peanuts again very concerning. Agree with your judgment and advice. Am I the a-hole for not letting my stepsister wear my wedding dress? I, 26 female, got married in 2016. My wedding dress was a dress my mom made for me when I was 11. She knew she was sick, and she was a dressmaker, and so I asked her to make me a dress for prom and my wedding for the future. They were basically the same dress, just one was pink and the other was white, but they mean the world to me. Both needed to be altered when I reached the point of wearing them, but luckily my grandma's also a dressmaker and she did it for me. My stepsister, 24 female, is now getting married and wants to wear my wedding dress to hers. She's my stepsister through my dad's marriage to his wife Liz, and they got married when I was 7. She didn't know my mom though, and they were nothing to each other. So for the sentimental part, and the part where she didn't even know my mom and couldn't share in that side of the sentimentality, I said no. I didn't want to give away my dress. Maybe if I have a daughter or a daughter-in-law I'm close to someday, I might offer it there or give it to them if they want it. But for now, I want to keep both and not share. My no has led to fallout though. My stepsister feels like I'm unfair, and is hurt that I don't consider her enough of a sister to share it with her, regardless of who made it. My dad is pissed, because this is the second time she wanted one of them. She wanted my prom dress as well, and he said I should have been willing to share one, since my stepsisters always looked up to me. Liz is pissed because I wouldn't let her fix my prom dress at the time. She offered with very little experience fitting dresses, and went to my grandma instead, and now I won't let her daughter wear the dress. They all say it's been 5 years now, and the wedding dress won't be worn again by me, which might not be true. My husband and I have talked about renewing our vows far in the future and wearing the same clothes. I've been called selfish, mean, a witch and other stuff, and there's a lot of upset over my decision. My stepsister is genuinely sad. She doesn't even care about the sentimentality. She just wanted it because I had worn it, and she always loved getting my hand-me-downs. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The dress is your mom's legacy for you, and what a touching, beautiful gift. They should be just for you, unless you willingly want to share, or like you said, make them heirlooms for your future kids. Stepsister needs to stop trying to Jones your stuff. Tell her she must back off, and to just stop being a lazy leech and buy her own damn dresses. She clearly doesn't get that they are more than dresses to you. You don't owe her a thing. Also OP, because this is the top comment, make sure the dresses are both locked up somewhere safe where only you and your husband are able to access. While I have to hope they wouldn't, I've seen too many stories on here of step-siblings stealing/destroying important sentimental things. There are also posts where the leech refuses to give back a borrowed wedding dress because of the sentimental value. In the best case, the dress would be damaged by being cheaply fitted, with probable stains from the party. Not day hole. Sometimes being selfish is being selfish, but sometimes people call you selfish because you have boundaries. Tell your dad you are ashamed for him for his behavior. How it's insensitive of him to ask you to give away what your mom made for you, and you consider it to be a huge emotional subject which you want to keep to yourself as something between you and your mom. Just because he does not feel its significant value for you, does not mean he has the right to demand you share one. He should be ashamed. Excuse me? It's your wedding dress. Sentimental to you. Oh my god, my blood is boiling on your behalf, Opie. I can't even imagine sharing something sentimental to me with someone who won't understand it. Huge not day hole. My mom bought my wedding dress for me. After my wedding, she promised the dress to a coworker of hers and did not understand why I didn't want to give up my wedding dress to a stranger. So I told her that if it was so important, then my mom could just give her coworker her own wedding dress from the 70s. My mom stopped asking after that. My stepsister feels like I'm unfair and is hurt that I don't consider her enough of a sister to share it with her regardless if who made it. Not today, Hall 100%. There isn't a rule that says that sisters have to share their wedding dresses with each other. Everybody, but Opie, is encouraging stepsisters' bad behavior. Good for you for having a backbone. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for being surly, rude, and mean at a wedding and leaving early? I was asked to be a member of the wedding party. Despite this, I was the only person, not only in the wedding party but also at the ceremony, who wasn't allowed to have a +1. This was an outdoor wedding with unlimited seating, and these people don't give a crap about COVID, so it wasn't about that. I was told it was because my relationship wasn't serious enough despite us being together for a year, that only engaged or married couples were invited, and that they didn't want some random guy in their wedding pictures who I might not even be with later in the future. They don't want to have a look at some random guy in their pictures, even though he wouldn't have been in any of the post pictures at all. Maybe just in the background of crowd shots. There have been no conflicts between them and my boyfriend, and he's a nice and mild-mannered guy who gets along with everyone, so I don't think it was about him personally. So I get to the ceremony and find out that literally everyone else has a +1. Not just married couples, but there are couples there who have been dating for less time than me. This is when I started feeling surly. I smiled and played my part during the ceremony, but inside I was very surly and angry. We then got to the reception, which had way more people than the ceremony. This is where all the more distant friends were invited, and everyone there had a +1. I was literally placed at a table as the one single person, and everyone else at the table was a couple. Some at the table were other members of the wedding party, but others were random distant acquaintances. People started asking me where my boyfriend was, and I said I was told he wasn't invited. They asked why, and I said I had no idea why. This is when I started letting my surliness show and started acting rude and mean because I was humiliated. And then I was brought into conversation with the couple's male friend, Dean. I was previously told that Dean has a crush on me, and I made it clear I wouldn't be interested even if I was single. Even after that, he kept trying to message me and I ignored him. But now the people who brought me into conversation with Dean were like standing around staring at us and giggling behind their hands, like they thought they were Cupid matchmakers. Dean was absolutely a participant in this. I was meaner to Dean than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life. I was as fully rude as I've ever wanted to be when being the target of someone's romantic interest unwantedly. It's true, I don't really know if I was being set up, but I was already furious before that happened. Everyone was silent and awkward. I went back and finished my meal, and as soon as I was done, picked up my purse and left and went straight to my boyfriend's house, skipping most of the reception, cake cutting, speeches, and everything. I'm now being told by the couple that they are hurt and confused why I left so early. I haven't replied. Wow. There are layers to this, like a freaking parfait made entirely of dog poop in different stages of decomposition, and it just kept getting worse. From the title, I thought you were the a-hole. Then it was like, okay, maybe it's everyone sucks here. Then it got to not the a-hole, and kept on trucking how the newlyweds and Dean are huge a-holes, and just kept on going. Honestly, you are absolutely not the a-hole, and in fact should be commended on not engaging in some fully warranted a-hole behavior of your own. Because I absolutely do not consider rudely rejecting Dean's advances to be a-hole behavior when he is complicit in the setup attempt from hell. I think at the very least, you would have been completely justified in not only leaving early, but taking your wedding gift with you because these people are not your friends. I'm still so angry about the entire thing. I wish I had told them to go screw themselves the minute they called my boyfriend some guy I might not even be with in the future. My relationship is one of the most important things in my life, and my boyfriend is precious to me. You need to cut them out immediately. They have already proven they don't care about your feelings by ignoring the fact you previously said you do not want to date this dude. If he contacts you again, get a restraining order because it's some next level diabolical manipulation and a GTFO of this environment ASAP. Which I would find absolutely hilarious considering they didn't want some random guy in their photos when they look at them later in life, but now have to look back at photos with some random girl they're not friends with anymore. Lol. Not the a-hole. If you were seriously singled out like that as the only major exception by someone, either the wedding couple or anyone in the wedding party, I probably would have been angrier. Honestly, I was the most mad about how they disrespected my boyfriend and relationship, calling him some random guy and saying I might not be with him in the future. Like, what kind of way is that to talk about my relationship that's extremely important to me? Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking back a gift from a fake baby? I work at a popular clothing retailer, and I enjoy my job very much. My coworkers are great, customers are bearable, but one coworker, let's call her Rhonda, has been making my work life a living hell recently. We have worked together for a couple of years now and things were great. I would even say we were work friends. Then she invited me to her daughter's baby shower last month, and I agreed to go. What I didn't know was this was not a regular baby shower. I arrived with a gift and was talking to my other coworkers that were there, and we figured out none of us had met the daughter. Rhonda introduced her daughter to our little group, and I congratulated her and thanked her for having us. She laughed and said something like, "Thank you, but I'm not pregnant quite yet, but it's always good to be prepared for when the time comes." I was visibly confused, which seemed to offend her. After she walked away from our group, my coworker explained that Rhonda had told her when they arrived that this isn't a regular baby shower, and her daughter had been feeling down because quite a few of her friends had been pregnant. I asked the friends if they knew beforehand, but they said no, and that they were also confused why they were asked to buy gifts, but decided not to make a big deal about it. I asked Rhonda why she wouldn't tell us that it wasn't a baby shower for a specific baby, and she explained the physical invitations explained it was a party for her daughter to shower her with love. Well, none of us co-workers got physical invitations. I asked Rhonda if I could take back my gift since I am not made of money, and I would prefer to get her daughter a gift when she was actually having a baby. Rhonda said that would be rude to take a gift back after giving it, and that her daughter was going through a lot and was looking forward to opening presents. I said I'm sorry, but I can't do this. I took my gift and left. The daughter sent me hateful messages over Facebook, including calling me a disrespectful old witch and a bad friend to Rhonda. I feel bad for storming off and taking back the gift if it was going to cost this much grief. Also, I realized I grabbed a gift that was on top of mine that was from my co-worker, and she said she wants me to bring it back to her and not give it to Rhonda and her daughter. But Rhonda found out and is threatening to go to HR if I don't return the gifts and buy something else off the registry for the suffering of cost. Most of the items on the registry aren't even for babies. Am I an a-hole for taking back a gift because I was lied to? Edit. If anyone cares, I'll update after talking to HR Monday. Not a-hole. And this shower is literally the tackiest, gift grabby, bad crap crazy thing I've ever heard of. And I've been in several of the more dramatic pregnancy/parenting forums for a long time. Edited to add, I would beat her to the punch with HR and tell them that your coworker is harassing you for gifts that you decided not to give once you realized they were demanded under false pretenses. I thought the grandma showers were the craziest, but this is completely new level. Not a day-hole, and I would go to HR first and tell them your coworker is harassing you about gifts for a fake baby shower and demanding you buy her daughter presents just for the heck of it and lying about her daughter having a baby. Rhonda's behavior is wackadoodle. All the co-workers, by the way, not just Opie. She approached multiple co-workers for a gift grab. Ed is now pissed that she took one back and is demanding another for suffering. Wow. Not a day-hole. Not a day-hole. Go to HR for the co-worker scamming other workers for gifts. This is truly the epitome of entitlement. Does that mean she'll buy a gift for you if you did the same thing? Not likely. Last story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I don't follow the same trend for my wedding as some of my step-siblings? Long story short, my mom died when I was 8. My dad remarried when I was 10. His wife had kids prior, and then had kids together. Everyone else adjusted really well, but I struggled with the kind of relationships I wanted in the blended family. But in general, I get along well with everyone and never want to hurt feelings. I am very close to my maternal family, and they were still part of my life when my dad remarried. So here's the issue now. 3 of my step-siblings got married already, and all of them threw into the speech a point about how amazing our family is, and how they wouldn't trade any of us for anything. Along with how my dad is their dad in every sense of the word and not just a stepdad. Then after I would post a group photo captioned, "The fam's all here." They brought up to me alongside my dad that they expected the same things from me. Except it's not quite true. I would trade this blended family for my mom back. And I don't consider my stepmom my mom. I'm not even sure I can honestly say I love her. But I don't have any issue with her as a person. So I said I wasn't sure about the speech or the caption later, and they told me it will look strange if I don't, especially when the others do the same stuff when they get married, and another stepbrother is engaged and planning to do it. I feel stuck, because the truth is this isn't my dream family. My dream family will always be with my mom. But I also know I'm already wearing a locket of hers on the day, and giving my grandparents a photo to hold off her on the day, so she's represented and present in some way. The photo will be on a chair for me to see, but not for everybody else. And I can't say my stepmom is my mom in every sense of the word, because she's not, and the whole fam won't be there for me. They are mad that I'm considering something different from them when it has become such a thing. I need to hear from others, from outsiders of this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your whole family isn't there, thus making this a vastly different situation for you. Don't let anyone pressure you into doing anything you don't want to do. This is your wedding, not theirs. And why are they even concerned about how it looks and to whom? No one else matters on your wedding day besides you and your spouse. Thank you. I think I just don't want to hurt feelings or start a big drama. When the time comes, just say how pleased you are that your entire blended family is with you to celebrate your special day. I don't understand the stupid tradition they've invented where you have to follow their preset script. That's just nonsense. I think for them, it's the sentiment of declaring everyone almost like a chosen family as well as a family, that we were just so glad to be part of that and couldn't imagine different. And I get that it's true for them. But for me, there is a family I miss and wish I could be part of again. None of them will understand that totally. Not even my dad, really. He minds a bit more, but not totally, because he did choose this family. Not today, Hall. People do not get to dictate these things. You're absolutely not obligated to declare to everyone that you wouldn't trade the family for anything. Of course, you would prefer to have your mom. Do not give in. Imagine how hurtful it would be for your mother's family to see this, even though they know it isn't true. Ask your father, if he was the one who passed, how he would feel about you being forced to do this by a stepfather. Hold your ground on this one. It's worth it. I actually wondered if I should talk to him. Out of them all, he's kind of the one who would understand the most. But he also chose them in the way I didn't. Not that there's anything wrong with him doing so, it's just I'm not sure how understanding he would truly be, you know? You make a good point though.